Hey friends, Dr. Christy Matuziak here. So I just had to come on today to tell you all a story of a patient that I had this morning. She gave me permission to share her story. Of course, I will keep her anonymous. But this deeply impacted me this morning, and I want to share it with you just to let you know how important looking at the entire picture of someone and what they've got going on is when we're working with to figure out where the root causes of certain things are coming from. So I had this patient, and a few weeks back, she came in and she had a little eczema patch like right down here. And then she had a little one like coming up on her eye. And she says these things just kind of came up out of the blue. And the only thing that she could think of is that she had like a glass of wine the night before right before it kind of manifested. And as she looked back, the only other thing that was different was she changed the medication that she was taking to a different time of day. Other than that, there were no real triggers, no change in what she was using topically on her skin, no change in her diet, and she was definitely under some more stress. We'll get to that in a second. So we talked about it a little bit. I worked on her that day, and emotionally what came up in the appointment was emotionally and energetically the sense of impending doom. So as I go through and when I work with patients, I would use a system called neuroemotional technique. And when I looked on our chart of what energy and what meridian system came up that was out of balance for her, the sense of impending doom came up. And so I don't know what could be going on in her life necessarily that could make her feel that way. But I asked her, I said, this is what's coming up. And immediately she resonated with it. She has something going on with her family that she feels concerned that someone, like I think it was her brother-in-law, might be dealing with some cancer situations, and if things go in a really difficult way with him, then she would be responsible for her sister who needs a full-time caregiver and so on and so forth. And so there was definitely some stress in her life, and that sense of impending doom really resonated with her. So that day we cleared that energy, that emotion from her system. And then I offered her a homeopathic remedy moving forward to help the skin reaction. It was about a week later that she said, it had helped, but then it kind of came back. And so I recommended that she continue the remedy, and then we'll do some more work when we follow up next time. This is where it gets really fun and interesting. I saw her this morning, and her skin is perfect. 100% no issues. Now, usually when someone has an eczema outbreak, and now this person had never had eczema before in her past, but usually, typically, when somebody who does have eczema has an outbreak, the most common places are legs, back of the knees, insides of the arms. Face is not as typical of a presentation usually. She came in this morning and said, as I reflected on all the stress that was going on with my family, and I thought about the things you said about that sense of impending doom and what I was going through and what I was experiencing, she came to the realization through her reflection that she couldn't face it. Literally verbatim, she made that correlation. That's the only reason it was on her face. She couldn't face it. It was also only on the left side of her face. The left side of the body is generally more energetically connected to the feminine energy or females in one's life. And what she was going through, she was thinking about her sister in the feminine. She was also thinking about stepping into what would be her femininity more in that caretaker, nurturer kind of role. So all of this story just gets bigger and bigger when she came to that realization. I didn't want to face it, and look what's manifesting on her face as a result of that. Once she made that connection and dug a little bit deeper, looked within, it's gone. Everything that was on her face is completely 100% cleared. Stick with me here now for a second. Think about what you might have going on in your own life. It might be a skin condition. It might be a sprained ankle. It might be, something else that you feel like is purely a structural or physical issue. And you go to your dermatologist, or you go to a physical therapist, or you go to a different practitioner where you think, absolutely, this is their specialty. What else could be there under the surface? Some of these things, like I've said before in other videos, some of these things tend to be obvious, right? If you're constipated long-term, what aren't you letting go of, right? If there's a cough that, is not going away, chronic long-term, what aren't you getting off your chest? If there's something ear-related going on, what aren't you trying to hear? Or if there's some visual situation happening, what are you trying not to see? And so on and so forth. Some of these things we can make obvious connections to. sometimes we need to look a little bit deeper. And with this patient, it warmed my heart, and I felt so happy for her that she made these connections on her own. And once she did the work, it was completely cleared. Bottom line is, everyone, the power of healing inside your own body is the most powerful thing on the planet. Don't discount your own body's ability to do the healing, especially if you do the digging and you do the work on yourself. And sometimes we need a little bit of support. And I was happy to provide that for her in this particular case, to bring up certain things and bring up these emotions and help them clear out of her body. And then ultimately she had to run with that and continue doing some work on her own. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I thought it was a beautiful story and a really amazing lesson for everyone to really do that work and look internally to see what our bodies might be manifesting and where they could be coming from on a deeper level. So any questions, comments, thoughts, comment below. Let me know what you want to hear about. I'll be doing some more videos coming up here soon. So until then, Dr. Christy Matusek here with Dr. Christy Cares, wishing you a fantastic day and a healthy life.